Today I wanted to take a minute to speak out about an issue that has been really heavy on my mind and heart, and that is the hate and violence that has been targeting the Asian American community. As an Asian American woman, I have seen firsthand some of the ways that our community is being affected, and I hope I can shed some light on these issues today to help us all just have a greater understanding of each other. I basically grew up and I was raised in the heart of where a lot of Asian Americans live. You know, my mom had a nursing company in Daly City, California, which is in the Bay Area. You know, it's just, that's where all of my cousins and my aunts and uncles, they all live there in that community. And after seeing some of these attacks against Asian Americans, you know, especially the elderly and the ones that, you know, have been super vulnerable, it's scary for me to even just think about maybe this could happen to a relative of mine or even my mother. I don't want to play this in my head, but I can just imagine like her doing a Costco run while, you know, my stepdad is working and she loves doing her errands. So for the Black Lives Matter movement, it was such a big deal, right? And I didn't understand when they said, if you're silent, you are basically the problem. And now I do, though, because, you know, if you have a platform, I think it's your responsibility, whether it's your opinion, but to try and voice positivity and support rather than like hate or being silenced. And I think being silenced is just as bad as, in a way, promoting hate. And so I felt, in a way, not guilty, but I also felt like when I was a kid, I felt ashamed to be Filipino. I felt ashamed to be Asian. I would get bullied a lot because of it. And I think it just, this whole like movement just made me sit back and reflect. I just remember I was basically raised by my Filipino nanny who didn't speak a lick of English, and my mom was working at that time back in '84, just like 24 hours a day. I remember when I was able to start going to school and I was like big enough to go to school and to be dropped off at the bus station, I just remember being embarrassed of my nanny. She kind of passed for like my grandma. It was weird because I was like two different people. So it was like behind closed doors, I was totally a Filipino girl, like loving Filipino food. And then when I would leave or go in public, or if I had friends over, it'd be like, don't make rice, don't make Filipino food, don't talk Ima. Her name was Ima. I would always be made fun of because of the shape of my eyes or calling me Chinese when I'm Filipino. And I would always either be the one to crack the joke first so that we could avoid the awkwardness, or I would just laugh at it. Like I never stopped it. I never thought it was wrong in a weird way. I was just always trying not to look Asian, whether that be making my eyes bigger with makeup or whatever. It's like I was ashamed to be Asian, and it's sad. So basically my mom married my father, Stephen Burke. She had all these dreams to become like this businesswoman and create all these companies, but like how could she do this without speaking the language? And then you marry an attorney. My father was an attorney when they met. Unfortunately, you know, they divorced when I was 2 years old. And I remember my mom just recently actually telling me, I asked her, I was like, why is your last name still Burke? You know, like why isn't it your new last, not new, but your second marriage? You know, why isn't it Wolf? Or why didn't you ever go back to Bautista during that like hiatus? And I remember her admitting to me that basically she did develop her nursing company. She didn't want to change the brand, but really it was because she didn't want people to treat her like anything other than an American. I think that has been going around for so many years that it's kind of hard to untrain the brain. But again, until we use our voices and we speak out and we actually set boundaries, I think that's another part of our culture, is that we've been told to stay humble, and not necessarily good humble, but like humble meaning don't be too outspoken, don't be too confident, because confident equals cocky, and we had to just put our head down and work. I mean, that's the stigma, and that's actually the truth. Like, I think this is the first generation, our generation, that we're actually speaking up for the first time ever as far as Asian Americans go. What is the definition of all American? As far as I'm concerned, I think a lot of Asian Americans feel like foreigners in their own home, you know, and that's what we're trying to, I guess, get rid of that stigma, that stereotype that like in order to be American, you have to be a certain color skin, you have to have, you know, your hair has to be a certain way. It's like, but that's the beauty of United States of America, is that we all unite, and there's biracial, there's black, there's, you know, Jewish, there's Asian American. I mean, like, that's the beauty of the United States of America. And I'm not just talking about like white people, it's all races. Like, we all need to work on this. We all need to have these uncomfortable conversations, because until you have them, how are you going to learn what to say or how to be? I think the important part in all of this is just to first admit it, right? Admit it to yourself that maybe, you know, you're not necessarily racist or whatever it is. No need to label, but like, admit that we all need to work on this. Like, we all, in order for us to come together as a community and to really make changes and progress and evolve, we really do have to take a step back first and admit that, you know, we're not perfect. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is to take responsibility and to share, you know, your feelings and your thoughts with your community. Us as a generation, not even my mom's generation, I think it's a different time. And I think we could really change that stigma on just Asian Americans and how we need to take the back seat. Like, that just is not, no, that's just not present anymore. I mean, that's just no longer valid, is what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. I think the first step is really just awareness and education. If we don't speak up, we're not being heard, right? And like exactly you said, you know, we were taught to be very quiet. We were taught to not to make noises. Sometimes, you know, last year alone in 2020 is 1,900% increase in Asian hate crimes. And that's only the reported ones.
You know, if you don't want to go out there and protest, like, that's okay. There's other ways. Like, people are donating their time and they're risking their lives. And, you know, if that is something that you feel comfortable doing, so be it. Or social media. Like, this is where social media comes into play, and it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing if you use your platform the right way. Like, you can hold all these IGTV lives. You can go on YouTube. It's just about spreading the awareness and educating people. You know, today I have chosen to no longer be silent or turn a blind eye to the issues at hand, but to start having these needed, uncomfortable conversations that we just must stop from shying away from. You know, you have your Asian Americans that are very vocal in this business, right? You've got like Daniel Day Kim, you've got Olivia Munn, you know, and, you know, they're spending and dedicating their lives right now to this. But like, if you guys are lost, if anyone doesn't understand what's going on, you can always go onto one of their Instagram handles, mine as well. I just don't want the Asian American community to feel insignificant, right? Like, we are stronger together. We need to change the stigma. We need to be the ones to communicate, and it's okay to ask for help. I wanted to do this video because, first of all, I want to send my love to any family that has been affected by any type of violence, whether you're Asian American or not. You know, we should be feeling safe in our community. There's nothing worse than not feeling safe, especially here in the United States of America. If you have, you know, watched this video and are maybe wondering how can I help, well, I encourage you to first just start by using your voice and, you know, post on your social media, bring awareness, lead by example, especially if you have a platform. And if you don't want to do any of that, if you want to donate your money to the AAPI Community Fund, that will also help so much. So, you know, I truly believe that when we come together, we can create real change in the world, and the time for change is right now. So thank you so much for sticking by me and for all of your support. I'm sending you all so much love and light.